Eunice's breath caught as Marcus's hand connected with her shoulder, shoving her backward in the middle of the crowded mall. "Watch where you're going," he snarled at the elegant woman he didn't recognize, his ex-wife, the one he'd thrown away like trash 15 years ago for being poor, black, and infertile. He had no idea the three imposing men in tailored suits rushing toward them were the Triplet Billionaire sons she'd somehow miraculously had after he left. He had no idea his life was about to shatter. And he certainly had no idea that the biggest mistake of his life was about to catch up with him in the most devastating way possible. Stay until the end to see what happens when Marcus finally realizes who she is. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the park penthouse, casting golden rays across the marble floors. Eunice Park stood in her kitchen, humming softly as she prepared breakfast, a ritual she'd maintained despite having a full staff at her disposal. At 52, she was stunning. Her dark skin glowed with the kind of radiance that came from finally being at peace. Her natural hair, now threaded with distinguished silver strands, was styled in elegant locks that fell past her shoulders. She wore a cream silk blouse and tailored black slacks, her style understated but unmistakably expensive. "Yama, you don't have to cook," came a deep voice from behind her. Eunice smiled without turning around. She knew that voice anywhere. Her eldest by 3 minutes, Min-ho. And let Mrs. Chun have all the fun? Never. Dr. Park Min-ho entered the kitchen, already dressed in his scrubs despite it being barely 7 in the morning. At 32, he was the spitting image of his father in his younger days, tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of classical Korean features that made nurses stumble over their words. But his eyes, those warm brown eyes, those were all Eunice. "You have surgery at 9. Eunice said, plating perfectly fluffy pancakes. "Sit. Eat. I should be saying that to you. You have that charity gala meeting at 10. Min-ho sat anyway, because one didn't argue with Eunice Park. Not if you valued peace. "The one you're all supposed to attend with me," Eunice reminded him, her tone pointed. Min-ho had the grace to look sheepish. "About that. Park Min-ho, don't you dare. There's a surgery. There's always a surgery." Eunice set the plate before him with a gentle but firm thud. "Your brothers will be there. Your father would want to be there if he could. You'll make time." Min-ho sighed, digging into his pancakes. "How is Appa this morning?" Eunice's expression softened. "Stable. Stronger. He asked about you." For the past 6 months, Park Jae-sung had been battling the effects of a severe stroke. The man who had built an empire, who had given Eunice and her sons everything, now lay in the medical wing of their home, fighting to reclaim his speech and mobility. It had shaken their entire family to the core. "I'll check on him before I leave," Min-ho promised. The kitchen door swung open with characteristic drama. "Is that Iyama's famous pancakes I smell?" Park Byum-suk strutted in, all cocky confidence and engineered charm. He was dressed in a perfectly fitted suit, his hair styled with just enough product to look effortlessly good. At his side, looking equally polished in a burgundy wrap dress, was his wife of 3 years, Nicole. "Baby, I told you we should have come earlier," Nicole laughed, her voice rich and melodious. She was a stunning black woman with the kind of curves that made Byum-suk forget how to speak Korean. Her passion twist braids were pulled into an elegant updo, and her makeup was flawless. "We came at exactly the right time," Byum-suk said, pulling out a chair for Nicole before dropping a kiss on Eunice's cheek. "Just in time to eat and not help cook. Perfect engineering. Your mouth will get you in trouble," Eunice warned, but she was smiling as she plated food for them. "His mouth already gets him in trouble," Nicole said with a wicked grin. "But I don't mind." "Nicole!" Eunice laughed, scandalized. "Min-ho gronet. It's too early for this." "It's never too early for love," Byum-suk declared dramatically, pulling Nicole onto his lap despite the perfectly available chair beside him. "Tell him, honey. Tell Hyung how wonderful marriage is. Maybe he'll finally propose to Zara." The kitchen went silent. Min-ho's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "Byum-suk," Nicole hissed, elbowing her husband. "What?" Byum-suk looked around innocently. "We're all thinking it. 7 years, and Hyung still hasn't put a ring on it." I proposed to Nicole after 6 months. And we thought you were insane, Minho muttered. Insane in love, Byung-suk corrected, nuzzling Nicole's neck. Best decision I ever made. Second best, Nicole corrected. First was convincing your mother to like me. Oh, sweetheart, that took no convincing, Eunice said warmly. You had me at hello when you told Byung-suk his ego was showing. They all laughed, the sound warm and familiar. This was what Eunice had dreamed of during those dark years. A kitchen full of love, laughter, and family. The door opened again, and the temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Park Tae-hyun entered like a storm. 6 feet 3 inches of barely contained intensity wrapped in a 3-piece Tom Ford suit. The youngest of the triplets was all sharp angles and sharper words. His hair was slicked back severely, his expression carved from ice. Where Minho was warm and Byung-suk was playful, Tae-hyun was pure control power. Yama, he said, his voice softer only for her. He kissed her cheek, the only person in the world who could penetrate his armor without effort. Tae-hyun, you're here early. The Tokyo deal closed. I flew back last night. He glanced at his brothers. Hyung, Byung-suk, youngest, Byung-suk acknowledged. Still pretending you don't have human emotions? Tae-hyun's eyes narrowed. Still pretending your marriage isn't a walking HR violation. Boys, Eunice said warningly. We met at a charity event. Not at work, Nicole interjected smoothly. She'd gotten used to the brothers' constant bickering. And good morning to you too, Tae-hyun. Tae-hyun's expression thawed slightly. Nicole was family, which meant she was protected. Nicole, you look well. High praise from the Ice King, Byung-suk muttered. Eunice set a plate in front of Tae-hyun. Eat, all of you. And remember your brothers, not enemies. We remember, Yama, Minho said. That's why we haven't killed each other yet. Despite himself, Tae-hyun's lips twitched. Almost a smile. The family ate together, trading barbs and stories. Eunice watched them with a heart so full it ached. These men, her miracle babies, her impossible blessings, were everything she'd survived for. 15 years ago, she'd been broken, discarded, told her life was worthless. Now, she was here, and she'd never take a single moment for granted. By 10:30, Eunice found herself at Lakeview Luxury Mall, one of the most exclusive shopping destinations in the city. The charity gala meeting had run short, and she decided to browse for a gift for Jae-sung. Despite his condition, their anniversary was approaching, and she wanted something special. She dismissed her driver, preferring to walk and enjoy the rare moment of anonymity. Here, she was just another elegant shopper, not the matriarch of the Park Empire or the woman whose rags to riches story had been splashed across every business magazine. Eunice paused at a jewelry store window, admiring a vintage watch that would suit Jae-sung perfectly. She was so focused she didn't notice the man walking behind her until it was too late. The collision was hard enough to send her stumbling forward, her purse slipping from her shoulder. Watch where you're going. The voice was sharp, angry, familiar in a way that made Eunice's blood run cold. She turned slowly, her heart thundering in her chest. Marcus Thompson stood before her, 15 years older but unmistakable. He'd put on weight, his once handsome face now florid and lined with the evidence of hard living. He wore an expensive suit that didn't quite fit right, the kind of outfit a man bought when he was trying to look richer than he was. Behind him stood a woman young enough to be his daughter, platinum blonde, stick-thin, dripping in jewelry that screamed new money. His latest wife, no doubt. Marcus didn't recognize her. Eunice could see it in his eyes. There was no flicker of recognition, no awareness that he was staring at the woman he'd once vowed to love forever. The woman he'd thrown away like garbage. Are you deaf? Marcus snapped. I said watch it. Marcus, baby, calm down, the blonde simpered, clutching his arm. She probably doesn't speak English. The casual racism, the easy dismissal, it all came flooding back. Every moment of their marriage, when Marcus had made her feel small, worthless, less than human. Eunice felt something cold settle over her. 15 years ago, she would have apologized. would have made herself smaller, invisible, acceptable. Not anymore. You ran into me, Eunice said quietly, her voice steady. And I speak English perfectly fine. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Are you talking back to me? I am stating facts. Eunice bent to retrieve her purse, her movements graceful and unhurried. You weren't watching where you were going. Do you know who I am? Marcus stepped closer, invading her space in a way that used to terrify her. I could buy this whole mall. I don't apologize to people like you. People like me, Eunice repeated softly. Marcus, let's just go, the blonde whined. She's not worth it. But Marcus was on a roll now, feeding off the small crowd beginning to form. This was what he'd always loved, an audience for his cruelty. Look at you, all dressed up like you belong here. But I can tell. I can always tell when someone's pretending to be something they're not. Eunice felt the familiar sting of his words, but they bounced off the armor she'd built over 15 years. This man had once made her believe she was nothing, had screamed at her that she was worthless because she couldn't give him children, had walked out while she was on her knees, begging him to stay. He'd left her with nothing. No money, no home, no hope. And somehow, miraculously, she'd survived. You don't know anything about me, Eunice said. I know you're kind, Marcus sneered. Probably some rich man's mistress, playing dress up. Let me guess, he bought you all those fancy clothes? That nice purse. He reached out, his hand connecting with her shoulder in a shove that was harder than necessary. Well, you're in my way, and I don't move for anyone. Eunice stumbled backward, shock more than force making her lose balance. And that's when the mall exploded with motion. Get your hands off my mother. The roar came from 3 directions simultaneously. Eunice's sons materialized like avenging angels. Minho from the medical supply store he ducked into, Byum Suk and Nicole from the designer boutique they'd been browsing, and Taehyun from seemingly thin air, as if he'd sensed the danger through the walls themselves. Minho reached her first, his hands gentle as he steadied her. Yama, are you hurt? I'm fine, Eunice assured him, but her voice shook slightly. Taehyun stepped between Eunice and Marcus, and the temperature plummeted. You put your hands on her. His voice was deadly quiet, the kind of calm that preceded volcanic eruptions. Marcus looked up and up at the 3 men towering over him. Confusion flickered across his face. Who the hell are you? You touched our mother, Byum Suk said, his usual playfulness gone, replaced by something cold and dangerous. Nicole stood beside him, her eyes flashing with fury. Mother! Marcus's laugh was nervous now. He looked at Eunice, really looked at her for the first time. Your mother? But she's black? Is that what you were going to say? Taehyun's voice could have cut glass. Marcus's face went red. I don't know what kind of scam you're running, but security. Minho's voice rang out with the kind of authority that came from years in surgery, commanding life and death. This man assaulted someone. I want him removed immediately. Mall security came running. So did the manager, a small man who took one look at the Park brothers and went pale. Mr. Park, Mr. Parks, I'm so sorry, we didn't know. This man, Taehyun said, not taking his eyes off Marcus, pushed my mother. I want him banned from this establishment. Permanently. Of course, of course. The manager wrung his hands, turning to Marcus. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Leave? Do you know who I am? I am Marcus Thompson. Thompson Real Estate. The manager looked apologetic. Sir, these are the Park brothers. Park Minho, Park Byum Suk, and Park Taehyun. They own this mall. The words hung in the air like a detonation. Marcus's face went from red to white. What? They own this mall? The manager repeated. Among other properties in the city. Now please, sir, I need you to leave before I call the police. This is insane. The blonde was pulling at Marcus's arm now, her earlier confidence evaporating. Marcus, let's just go. But Marcus was staring at Eunice now, really staring. She could see the wheels turning in his head, trying to place her. The elegant clothes, the sons, the wealth, none of it computed. Yama, let's go, Minho said gently, his arm around her shoulders. He's not worth your time. Who is she? Marcus called out as they turned to leave. There was something desperate in his voice now, something that almost sounded like recognition trying to break through. Hey, who are you? Eunice paused, turned back, looked him directly in the eye. Someone you once knew, she said quietly. Someone you discarded when she needed you most. Someone who survived anyway. She walked away, her sons forming a protective barrier around her. Behind them, she heard Marcus's strangled gasp as pieces started falling into place. But she didn't look back. She was done looking back. The Park family regrouped at their penthouse, tension thrumming through the air like electricity. Eunice sat in the living room, a cup of tea cooling in her hands, while her sons paced like caged tigers. I should have broken his jaw, Taehyun seethed. I should have. You did exactly what needed to be done, Eunice said firmly. You protected me and handled it appropriately. Appropriately? Beam-suk's voice was sharp. Yama, he put his hands on you, and he's been banned from the mall. From any property we own or have interest in. Minho ran a hand through his hair, his calm facade cracking. I've already made calls. Marcus Thompson won't be welcome anywhere that matters. Nicole sat beside Eunice, holding her hand. Are you okay? Really? Eunice squeezed back. I'm fine, sweetheart. Truly. It was just shocking, seeing him after all these years. He didn't even recognize you. Beam-suk said incredulously. 15 years, and he looked right through you. Until he realized who we were, Taehyun added darkly. Then suddenly he was very interested. That's how men like Marcus operate, Nicole said quietly. They only see value in terms of what someone can do for them. When Eunice was struggling, she had no value. Now that she's connected to wealth and power, now he'll come sniffing around, Taehyun finished. His eyes were ice chips. Let him. I'll destroy him. Taehyun, Eunice said sharply. That's enough. Yama. I said enough. Eunice set down her tea with a decisive click. Marcus Thompson is my past. A painful one, yes, but past nonetheless. I won't let him poison our present or future. But he hurt you, Minho said, his voice catching. All those years ago, he abandoned you when you needed him most. Eunice's expression softened. Her eldest, her gentle healer, still carried wounds from a childhood spent watching his mother struggle. He did, and I won't pretend it didn't nearly break me. But it didn't. And more than that, if he hadn't left, she looked at each of her sons in turn. I never would have met your father. I never would have had you. Maybe some pain leads us exactly where we're meant to be. That's very philosophical, Beam-suk muttered. I still want to punch him. Get in line, Taehyun said. A weak voice from the doorway interrupted them. Who are we punching? Everyone turned. Park Jae-sung stood there, one hand gripping his walker, his physical therapist hovering anxiously behind him. The stroke had aged him, thinned his once powerful frame, but his eyes, those eyes that had first seen Eunice not as broken, but as beautiful, were as sharp as ever. Appa. Minho was across the room in seconds. You shouldn't be out of bed. I heard commotion, Jae-sung said slowly, each word a battle one. His speech had been severely affected by the stroke, but he'd been working tirelessly to reclaim it. Eunice. I'm fine, Yobo, Eunice said, using the Korean term of endearment as she moved to his side. Just a small incident at the mall. Nothing to worry about. Jae-sung looked at his sons. They couldn't lie to him. Tell me. Minho Sighet. Yama ran into her ex-husband. Literally. He was rude. We handled it. Handled appropriately, Taehyun said. At his father's skeptical look, he added, we didn't hit him. Much as we wanted to. Jae-sung turned his gaze to Eunice. Even hampered by stroke, he could read her like a book. You're upset. I'm processing, eunique corrected gently. She helped him to the sofa, sitting beside him. It's been 15 years, Jay. I thought I was over it. But seeing him, having him look through me like I was nothing, her voice caught. It brought back memories I'd rather leave buried. Jae-sung took her hand with his functioning one. You are everything. He's fool. The biggest, Beam-suk agreed. Seriously, Appa. You should have seen him. pushing Iyama around like she was nobody. He had no idea he was messing with the Park family. Until we told him, Nicole added with a grim smile. The look on his face when he realized these three owned the mall? Priceless. Did he recognize you? Jae-sung asked Eunice. Not at first. Maybe not at all. I'm not the woman he left behind. Eunice straightened her shoulders. That woman was broken, desperate, believing she had no worth because she couldn't have children. This woman, she gestured at herself, is a mother of 3 miraculous sons. Wife to a wonderful man. I'm not who I was, and I won't apologize for that. Good, Jae-sung said firmly. Despite his limited words, the conviction behind them was absolute. You're magnificent. See, this is marriage goals, Beum-suk said, gesturing at his parents. Hyung, take notes. Minho shot him a look. Don't start. Start what? I'm just saying, 7 years is a long time. Beum-suk, I swear. Boys, Eunice interrupted. Not now. But Jae-sung was looking at Minho with sharp eyes. Zara, Minho shifted uncomfortably. She's fine. We're fine. Then why no ring? Appa. 7 years, Jae-sung pushed. If you love her. I do love her. Minho stood abruptly, running both hands through his hair. I love her more than anything. That's not the problem. Then what is? Nicole asked gently. Minho looked at his mother, and Eunice saw the fear in his eyes. What if I mess it up? What if I'm not enough? What if she wants children and I can't give them to her? The room went still. Oha, Minho, Eunice vhisperet. I'm a doctor, Iyama. I know fertility issues can be genetic. What if I inherited your? He couldn't finish the sentence. My infertility, Eunice finished for him. Is that what you're afraid of? Aren't you? Minho's voice cracked. You and Marcus. Marcus and I had problems long before we knew about my infertility, Eunice said firmly. That wasn't the cause of our marriage failing. It was the excuse he used to justify his cruelty. There's a difference. But you couldn't have children, Minho said quietly. And then you met Appa, and suddenly, I had 3, Eunice finished. She stood, crossing to her eldest son. Minho, ya, look at me. The doctors told me I would never have children. They said it was impossible. And then I met your father, and the impossible happened. I got pregnant with triplets. Do you know what the doctors called it? Miracle, Minho vhisperet. Exactly. A miracle. Because medicine doesn't have all the answers, and sometimes life surprises us. But even if I had never gotten pregnant, even if you 3 hadn't happened, she cupped his face. My worth wouldn't have changed. My value as a person, as a woman, wasn't dependent on my fertility. And Zara loves you. Not your potential as a father, but you. If children don't happen, there are other paths. But if you let fear keep you from the woman you love, she shook her head. That would be the real tragedy. Minho's eyes were wet. I don't want to lose her. Then stop hiding from her, Tae-hyun said bluntly. 7 years, Hyung. Either you trust her with your fears, or you don't. But keeping her at arm's length isn't protecting either of you. It's just cowardice. Taehyun, Nico died. What? It's true. Taehyun shrugged. Love requires vulnerability. If Hyung isn't willing to be vulnerable with Zara after 7 years, he's wasting both their time. That's rich coming from you, Beum-suk said. Mr. Women are distractions. They are, Tae-hyun said coolly. What about that employee you can't stop thinking about? Beum-suk grinned wickedly. What's her name? Jessica? Jamie. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, please. You stare at her in meetings. It's creepy. I observe all my employees. Not like you observe her. Beum-suk laughed. Admit it, youngest. You're human after all. Taehyunes yov taitenet. My personal life is none of your concern. See, this is exactly what I mean. Beum-suk threw up his hands. Both of you, emotional disasters. Meanwhile, Nicole and I are disgustingly happy. Minho finished. We get it. Jealousy is unbecoming, Nicole teased. Jae-sung watched his sons with amusement and concern. All 3 stubborn. Like me. Like you. Eunice raised an eyebrow. If I recall correctly, you pursued me for 2 years before I agreed to a date. You were worth it, I was terrified, Eunice corrected. Terrified that I'd fail again. That I'd disappoint you the way I disappointed Marcus. But you were patient. You showed me that love doesn't require perfection. She looked at Minho. That's what Zara deserves to see. Not your fear of failure, but your courage to try anyway. Minho was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. I'll talk to her. Really talk to her. Good, Eunice said. Now, all of you, let your father rest. He shouldn't be out of bed this long. Infine, Jae-sung protested. You're recovering from a stroke, Minho said, slipping into doctor mode. And your therapist says you need rest between sessions. Come on, Appa. Let's get you back to bed. As Minho helped his father up, Jae-sung looked back at Eunice. You're sure you're okay? I'm surrounded by people who love me, Eunice said softly. I'm more than okay. After Jae-sung was settled and the family had dispersed, Eunice found herself alone in the living room. She stood at the window, looking out at the city skyline. 15 years ago, she'd been living in a one-room apartment, working 3 jobs, barely surviving. Marcus had taken everything when he left. The house, the car, their savings. He made sure she had nothing. And from nothing, she'd built everything. She thought about the moment she'd met Jae-sung. He'd been in America for business, caught in the rain without an umbrella. She'd been working a coffee shop, her 3rd job of the day. She'd offered him her umbrella, a cheap, battered thing, but all she had. He'd returned the next day with a beautiful new umbrella for her and an invitation to dinner. She'd said no, repeatedly, for 2 years, because women like her didn't get happy endings. Women like her didn't get second chances. Except she had. Against all odds, against medical impossibility, she'd gotten pregnant. With triplets. 3 perfect sons who'd made every moment of struggle worth it. But she'd done it herself first. Before Jae-sung, before the pregnancy, she'd pulled herself out of despair through sheer force of will. She'd gone back to school, started a small business, refused to let Marcus's cruelty define her worth. That's what she wanted her sons to understand. That their value wasn't tied to success or perfection. That they were worthy of love simply because they existed. Even Tae-hyun, with his walls and ice. Especially Tae-hyun. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. This isn't over. Marcus. Eunice stared at the message for a long moment. Then, calmly, she blocked the number. He was right about one thing. This probably wasn't over. But she wasn't the woman he'd left behind. And she'd be damned if she let him hurt her family. Dr. Zara Johnson was finishing her rounds when she noticed Minho standing outside the ICU, staring at his phone. She'd known him long enough to recognize when something was wrong. 7 years. They'd been together for 7 years, and she still got butterflies when she saw him. Hey, stranger, she said, approaching quietly. Minho looked up, and his expression softened. Hey yourself. Zara was beautiful in a way that always caught Minho off guard. She had rich, dark brown skin, expressive eyes, and natural hair she wore in different styles. Today, it was a sleek bun that highlighted her elegant neck. She was also one of the best pediatric surgeons in the hospital, which is how they'd met. Rough day? She asked. Something like that. Minho pocketed his phone. Your round's done. Just finished. Want to grab dinner? They'd done this dance for 7 years. Dinner, movies, quiet evenings at her place or his. They met each other's families, traveled together, built a life together in every way except the one that mattered. No ring, no proposal, no future secured. Zara never pushed, which somehow made it worse. She deserved someone who didn't hesitate, who wasn't afraid. Minho. Zara's voice was gentle. Where'd you go just now? Saw the... Just thinking. He managed a smile. Dinner sounds great. They ended up at their favorite Korean barbecue place, the one where the owner knew them by name. As they cooked meat on the grill between them, Zara studied Minho's face. Something happened today, she observed. Want to talk about it? Minho focused on flipping the meat. My mother ran into her ex-husband. My brothers and I were there. Oh God. How is she? Shaken but okay. The guy was an ass. Put his hands on her. Zara's eyes flashed. Please tell me you pressed charges. We had him banned from the property. Taehyun's looking into more permanent solutions. Minho Bauset. It brought up a lot of old history. Stuff I thought we'd move past. Like what? This was it. The moment to be vulnerable. Like his mother had said. Like Taehyun had challenged him to be. My mother couldn't have children, Minho said quietly. With her first husband, Marcus. The doctors told her she was infertile. He left her because of it. Told her she was worthless. Zara's hand found his across the table. That's horrible. Then she met my father. And somehow, impossibly, she got pregnant. With triplets. The doctors called it a miracle because medically, it shouldn't have been possible. But it happened. It happened, Minho agreed. But what if it doesn't happen again? What if the infertility skipped a generation with her, but not with me? What if he swallowed hard? What if I can't give you children? The words hung between them, heavy with 7 years of unspoken fear. Zara was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was steady. Is that why you haven't proposed? You're afraid you can't have children. I'm afraid I'll disappoint you, Minho corrected. I'm afraid you'll realize I'm not enough. Minho, look at me. Zara waited until he met her eyes. I'm a pediatric surgeon. I work with kids every day. Do I want children? Yes. But do I need them to be happy? No. I need you. The you who sits with nervous parents for hours. The you who remembers my coffee order and my mother's birthday. The you who makes me laugh and challenges me and loves me so well I sometimes can't breathe from it. But nothing. If we have biological children, wonderful. If we adopt, wonderful. If it's just us and maybe some very spoiled dogs, also wonderful. The only thing I can't accept is you making decisions about our future without me. 7 years, Minho. I've waited 7 years for you to trust me enough to share these fears. Minho felt something crack open in his chest. I am sorry. Don't be sorry. Be brave. Be honest. Be with me fully, not with one foot out the door in case I decide you're not enough. Zara's eyes were bright with unshed tears. You're a doctor. You know there are no guarantees in life. Your mother's story proves that. But she also taught you that love is worth a risk. Isn't it? Yes, Minho whispered. God, yes. Then ask me. Ask you what? You know what? Minho's heart was thundering. I don't have a ring. I don't care about a ring. I care about you. So ask me, Park Minho. Ask me to be your wife. Ask me to build a future with you. Whatever that future looks like. Minho slid out of the booth, dropping to one knee right there in the restaurant. Other diners turned to look, but he didn't care. Zara Johnson, I have loved you for 7 years. I've been too afraid to risk losing you by admitting how terrified I am of not being enough. But you're right. You deserve all of me, fears included. So I'm asking, will you marry me? Will you build a life with me? Whatever that life looks like. Tears streamed down Zara's face. Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The restaurant erupted in applause as Minho stood and kissed her, properly, deeply, like a man who'd finally stopped running from his future. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Zara laughed. Your mother is going to kill you for proposing without a ring. My mother, Minho said, is going to be thrilled I finally stopped being an idiot. He was right. When he called Eunice later that night, she cried happy tears and immediately started planning an engagement party. 1 sundown, 2 to go. Meanwhile, Suk and Nicole were having a very different evening. They'd returned to their modern townhouse in the Arts District, a space that perfectly reflected their personalities. Nicole's vibrant artwork on the walls, Suk's engineering models scattered across surfaces, evidence of their lives intertwined in beautiful chaos. Your brother's going to give himself a heart attack if he doesn't chill, Nicole said, kicking off her heels and heading to the kitchen. The way he looked at that Marcus guy, I thought Taehyun was going to commit murder in the middle of them all. Taehyun was showing restraint, Suk said, following her. If it were just him, Marcus would be in the hospital. And that's healthy? Nicole pulled out ingredients for their nightly ritual. She cooked, he cleaned, they talked about their days. It's loyalty. Family. Suk wrapped his arms around her from behind, nuzzling her neck. Speaking of which, When are we going to start making some family of our own? Nicole tensed slightly. What? We've been married 3 years. I want babies. Lots of babies. A whole soccer team of babies. You barely have time to breathe between projects, Nicole pointed out, though her voice was gentle. How would you have time for a soccer team? I'd make time. For you, for our kids, I'd make time. He turned her around to face him. Unless you don't want children? I do want children, Nicole said carefully. But I also want to make partner at the firm first. I'm so close, BM. Another year, maybe 2. Suk's face fell. 2 years. Is that so long? We're young. We have time. My mother was older when she had us. What if waiting means? Your mother's situation was completely different, Nicole interrupted. I'm not infertile. I just want to achieve my professional goals before we start a family. Is that really so unreasonable? No, it's just, Suk ran a hand through his hair in frustration. I see my father in that bed, Nick. Unable to speak, to move properly. It reminds me that time isn't guaranteed. I don't want to wait for someday. I want to start now. Nicole's expression softened. Baby, I understand that today scared you. Seeing your mom confronted by her past, watching your dad struggle, it's a lot. But we can't make major life decisions based on fear. It's not fear. It's love. I love you so much it terrifies me. And I want to build a family with you. Is that wrong? It's not wrong. It's beautiful. Nicole cupped his face. But it also has to work for both of us. Can you give me one more year? 1 year to make partner. And then we start trying? Suk searched her eyes. 1 year. You promise? I promise. Nicole kissed him softly. Now, are you going to help me cook or just stand there looking pretty? I can do both, Suk said, his trademark cockiness returning. I'm an engineer. Multitasking is my specialty. Your specialty is being a menace, Nicole laughed. Your favorite menace. Unfortunately, yes. They cooked together, the earlier tension dissolving into their usual playful banter. But as Suk watched Nicole move around their kitchen, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She'd said 1 year. He'd hold her to that. Because if there was one thing Suk had learned from his mother's story, it was that life could change in an instant. And he didn't want to waste a single moment of his. Taehyun's conflict. The youngest Park brother sat in his corner office. The city lights spread below him like offerings. It was past midnight, but Taehyun rarely slept. Sleep was for people who didn't have empires to run. His tablet displayed a comprehensive dossier on Marcus Thompson. Thompson Real Estate, currently valued at $15 million. Respectable, but nothing compared to Park Industries' $3 billion portfolio. Destroying Marcus would be easy. A few strategic business moves, some pressure on his lenders, maybe a whisper in the right ears about past indiscretions. Taehyun had done it before to people who'd wronged him far less than Marcus had wronged his mother. But Eunice had asked them to let it go. Taehyun didn't know how to let things go. It wasn't in his programming. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Mr. Park? I have the quarterly reports he requested. Taehyun looked up, and his carefully controlled expression flickered for just a moment. Jasmine Okafor stood in his doorway, tablet in hand, professional as always. She was his executive assistant, the woman who'd been working for him for 2 years and who had somehow become indispensable. She was also the woman who haunted his dreams, though he'd never admit it. Jasmine was stunning. Nigerian features that could launch ships, natural hair she wore in elegant styles, a mind sharp enough to match his own. She was efficient, brilliant, and completely off limits because she worked for him. It's late, Taehyun said. Why are you still here? Why are you? Jasmine countered, entering and setting the tablet on his desk. Oh wait, I know. You're plotting the downfall of that man from today. Taehyun's eyes narrowed. How do you know about that? Your brother's group text. Very dramatic. Minho sent 17 messages. Jasmine smiled slightly. Also, you've been glaring at that tablet for 3 hours. It's either that or you're really angry at quarterly earnings, which would be concerning given how good they are. The group text includes you. Nicole added me. She says I'm part of the family. Jasmine's smile widened. I think she's hoping I'll be a good influence on you. I don't need a good influence. You need something. No one should work this much. You're working just as late. I'm working late because my boss is a workaholic who expects midnight reports, Jasmine pointed out. What's your excuse? Taehyun stood, moving to the window. Someone put their hands on my mother today. Do you know what it took for her to survive, what that man did to her? What it cost her? Jasmine's expression softened. I know. Nicole told me the story. Your mother is an incredible woman. She is. And she asked us to let it go. To move on. Taehyun's hands clenched into fists. I don't know how to do that. Maybe you don't have to let it go. Maybe you just have to trust that your mother is strong enough to handle her own past. Jasmine moved to stand beside him. She survived before you could protect her. She'll survive now, with or without your revenge. It's not revenge. It's justice. It's control, Jasmine said gently. You want to control every variable, eliminate every threat. But, Taehyun, you can't protect everyone from everything. Not even your mother. I can try. You can. But at what cost? Jasmine hesitated, then added, Your father's stroke wasn't something you could control or prevent. It happened, and it scared you. So now you're trying to control everything else. Work, threats to your family, your own emotions. Taehyun turned to look at her, really look at her. When did you become a therapist? When I started working for someone who desperately needs one. Jasmine held his gaze. You're not a machine, Taehyun. You're allowed to feel things. Fear, grief, even she caught herself. Even what? Nothing. It's late. I should go. Jasmine moved toward the door. Jasmine. Taehyun's voice stopped her. Stay. Please. She turned back, surprise flickering across her face. Taehyun never said please. Why? Because he struggled with the words, with the vulnerability they required. Because I don't want to be alone right now. Because you're right, today scared me. Because you're the only person who talks to me like I'm human instead of a weapon. Taehyun, Jasmine said softly. I know you work for me. I know there are rules about this. But he took a step closer. Can we just be two people tonight? Not boss and assistant. Just two people who don't want to be alone. Jasmine should have said no. Should have maintained professional boundaries. Should have protected her job, her heart. Instead, she said okay. Just tonight. They sat together on the sofa in his office. Not touching, but close enough to feel each other's warmth. They talked about everything except work, childhoods, dreams, fears. Taehyun told her about growing up knowing his mother had been hurt, vowing to never let anyone hurt her again. Jasmine told him about moving from Nigeria as a child, working twice as hard to prove herself in every space. We're not so different, Taehyun observed. Both of us try to be perfect so no one can use our vulnerabilities against us. The difference is I know perfection is impossible, Jasmine said. You still think you can achieve it. What if I don't want to be perfect? Taehyun asked quietly. What if I just want to be enough? You are enough. You just don't believe it yet. As dawn crept across the sky, Jasmine finally stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. Taehyun, for what it's worth, I don't think you're a weapon. I think you're someone who loves so deeply it scares you. There's nothing wrong with that. After she left, Taehyun sat in the growing light, his tablet forgotten. He pulled out his phone and deleted the dossier on Marcus Thompson. His mother was right. Some battles weren't worth fighting. Some were worth surrendering to instead. 3 days after the mall incident, Marcus Thompson sat in his lawyer's office, hands shaking with rage and disbelief. Let me get this straight, he said slowly. My ex-wife, my broke, infertile ex-wife, is now worth billions. His lawyer, a weaselly man named Stevens, nodded uncomfortably. Her current husband is Park Jae-sung, CEO of Park Industries. Combined net worth is estimated at over $4 billion. And her sons, your ex-wife's sons, they're all highly successful in their own rights. One's a renowned surgeon, one's a top engineer, and one is Park Taehyun. Marcus finished bitterly. The one who threatened me at the mall. Yes, he's particularly formidable in business. I'd advise against any sort of confrontation. Confrontation? Marcus laughed harshly. The man banned me from half the properties in the city. My business partners are getting nervous. Some are even pulling out of deals. Mr. Thompson, perhaps it would be wise to issue an apology. Apologize? For what? I didn't even know who she was. That's rather the point, sir. You assaulted a woman. I didn't assault anyone. I bumped into her. You pushed her. There were witnesses. Mall security footage. Stevens adjusted his glasses nervously. And when the Parks pursue something, they pursue it thoroughly. My advice? Apologize publicly, donate to one of Mrs. Parks' charities, and hope they let it go. Let it go, Marcus repeated. He thought about Eunice, the way she'd looked at him with such calm disdain, the way her sons had surrounded her like a protective wall. Do you know what she said to me? When I asked who she was, Stevens waited. She said she was someone I once knew, someone I discarded when she needed me most. Marcus's laugh was bitter. I didn't even recognize her. 15 years, and I didn't recognize my own wife. Ex-wife, Stevens corrected. I left her with nothing. Marcus continued, almost to himself. I took the house, the car, the savings. Told her she was worthless because she couldn't have children. And then somehow, impossibly, he looked at his lawyer with wild eyes. She had triplets. Triplets. The doctors told us she was infertile. Sometimes medical diagnoses are wrong. Or she was lying from the beginning. Maybe she could always have children and just didn't want them with me. Marcus stood abruptly, pacing. That has to be it. She lied about being infertile to avoid having my children, then turned around and had 3 with some rich Korean businessman. Stevens looked deeply uncomfortable. Sir, that seems unlikely. Then how do you explain it? I don't have to explain it. It's not my concern. Stevens gathered his papers. My concern is keeping you out of legal trouble. The Parks have significant resources and influence. If you continue down this path, making accusations, trying to contact Mrs. Park, it will end badly for you. So, I'm just supposed to let them destroy my business? Your business is fine. A bit bruised, but fine. What will destroy it is you continuing to obsess over your ex-wife's current success. Stevens stood. Go home, Mr. Thompson. Forget about Eunice Park. She certainly seems to have forgotten about you. But Marcus couldn't forget. As he drove home, his mind churned with memories. Eunice, young and desperate, begging him not to leave. Him, walking out while she sobbed on the floor. He'd felt justified then. Why should he stay with a defective wife? Now he felt cheated. She'd gone on to have everything while his phone rang. His current wife, Brittany. Where are you? She demanded. I thought you were going to be home an hour ago. I'm driving. I'll be there soon. Well, hurry up. My mother's coming over for dinner, and are you even listening? Marcus hung up. Brittany was wife number 3, and already he could feel the marriage crumbling, just like the first 2 had. Eunice was the only one who'd truly loved him. The only one who'd stuck by him when he was nobody, building his business from nothing. And he'd thrown her away. The unfairness of it burned in his chest. She had no right to be happy. No right to move on so completely that she didn't even recognize him as a threat. Marcus pulled over, making a decision that would change everything. He dialed a number he hadn't called in years. A private investigator he'd used for less than legal business dealings. I need everything you can find on Eunice Park, he said when the man answered. Her past, her present, her children. Everything. That's going to be expensive. The Parks have tight security. I don't care what it costs. I need leverage. Because if Eunice thought she could just move on, build a life without him, make him look like a fool, she had another thing coming. He'd remind her exactly who she used to be, and then he'd take it all away. Sunday dinner at the Park residence was sacred. No matter what was happening in their lives, the family gathered around the table every week. Tonight, the dining room glowed with candlelight and warmth. Eunice had insisted on cooking despite having a full staff, and the table groaned under the weight of Korean and soul food dishes, a perfect blend of her 2 worlds. Jae-sung sat at the head of the table in his wheelchair, looking stronger than he had in weeks. His speech was still halting, but his smile was full of joy as he watched his family gather. Minho arrived first, with Zara on his arm and a stunning engagement ring finally on her finger. Eunice had cried when she saw it, pulling Zara into a fierce hug. "Welcome to the family," she'd whispered. "Officially." Suk and Nicole arrived next, arms full of wine and Nicole's famous sweet potato pie. They were their usual affectionate selves, though Eunice noticed a slight tension between them that hadn't been there before. Taehyun was last, as always. But tonight he brought someone. "Everyone, this is Jasmine Okafor," he said with uncharacteristic awkwardness. My assistant." "Your assistant who you're in love with," Suk stage whispered to Minho. "I heard that," Taehyun said icily. "You were meant to," Suk grinned. Jasmine stepped forward, gracious despite the obvious curiosity in the room. "It's lovely to meet you all properly, Mrs. Park. Thank you for including me. Nicole's told me wonderful things about you," Eunice said warmly, taking Jasmine's hands. "And anyone who can tolerate my youngest son deserves sainthood." "Yama, Taehyun Krotestev." "What? It's true. You're very difficult." Eunice smiled. "But we love you anyway." They settled around the table, passing dishes and wine, the conversation flowing easily. Jae-sung watched with obvious contentment, occasionally adding a word or two, but mostly just absorbing the warmth of his family together. "So, Zara," Suk said with a wicked grin, "think you can handle being a Park? We're kinda lot." "I've been handling Minho for 7 years, Zara said dryly. "I think I can manage." Everyone laughed, including Minho. "Speaking of handling things," Nicole said, looking at Taehyun and Jasmine, "are we going to address the elephant in the room?" "Please don't," Taehyun muttered. "You brought her to family dinner," Suk pointed out. "That's basically a declaration of intent in this family." "It's just dinner," Taehyun insisted, though his hand had somehow found Jasmine's under the table. "Uh-huh." And Minho's engagement was just a conversation, Nicole teased. "Leave him alone," Eunice said, but she was smiling. "Let Taehyun move at his own pace." "His pace is glacial," Suk muttered. "I can't hear you," Taehyun said. "Again, you're meant to." The laughter flowed freely, and for a moment, everything was perfect. This was what Eunice had dreamed of during those dark years. A table full of love, laughter, and family. Then her phone buzzed. She ignored it, but it buzzed again. And again. "Yama, your phone," Minho said. Reluctantly, Eunice checked. Her blood ran cold. Unknown number. Multiple messages. And photos. Photos of her from 15 years ago, gaunt, desperate, broken. Standing outside homeless shelters. Working at the coffee shop where she'd met Jae-sung. Looking defeated and small. And one message. "Remember who you really are." "Eunice." Jae-sung's voice was concerned. She looked up, and her family was staring at her. She must have gone pale. "It's nothing," she said, but her voice shook. Taehyun was out of his chair immediately, taking her phone. His expression went from concerned to murderous in seconds. "Marcus," he bit out. "What?" Minho was up now too, looking at the phone over Taehyun's shoulder. "Let me see," Suk demanded. "No," Eunice said firmly, standing. "All of you sit down. This is my past. I'll handle it." "He's threatening you," Taehyun said, his voice deadly calm. "That's not something you handle alone." "I'm not alone. I have all of you." Eunice took her phone back, deleting the messages without looking at them again. "Marcus is trying to hurt me by reminding me of who I was. But I know who I was. I survived. I built a life. Those photos don't have power over me. But he might not stop there," Minho said quietly. "Yama, if he's hired someone to dig up your past, then they'll find a woman who struggled and survived. So what?" Eunice looked at each of her sons. "I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm proud of it. Every single moment led me here, to this table, to this family. Marcus can't take that away with old photos." "What do you want us to do?" Jae-sung asked carefully. Eunice looked at her husband, the man who'd loved her when she couldn't love herself. "I want you to get better. I want all of you," she gestured at her sons, "to live your lives. Find your happiness. Don't let Marcus Thompson steal one more moment of joy from this family." But Taehyun started. "Novats, I mean it, Taehyun. Not even plots. No business warfare. Nothing. He's not worth it. He's threatening you, Taehyun repeated. He's trying to. There's a difference. Eunice sat back down, her composure restored. Now, Nicole, I believe you brought pie. The dinner continued, but the mood had shifted. Everyone was more subdued, watching Eunice carefully. Only Jasmine seemed to understand. She caught Eunice's eye and gave a small nod of respect. Woman to woman, survivor to survivor. Some battles were won not by fighting, but by refusing to be broken. Late that night, after everyone had gone home, Eunice sat in her bedroom with Jae-sung. You're worried, he observed, watching her face. I'm frustrated, Eunike corrected. I thought that part of my life was over. Marcus was a closed chapter. Some chapters don't stay closed. Apparently not. Eunice sighed. I just don't want him affecting our sons. They're so protective. Taehyun especially, I saw that look in his eyes tonight. He wants blood. He wants to protect you. Like I do. Eunice smiled, taking Jae-sung's hand. I know, but I don't need protecting from my past. I need. Her phone rang. Unknown number again. She answered before she could think better of it. Marcus, whatever you're trying to accomplish. Mrs. Park. The voice was unfamiliar, professional. My name is Attorney Richard Chun. I represent Marcus Thompson in a rather delicate matter. Eunice's blood chilled. What matter? Mr. Thompson is filing a lawsuit against you and your sons for defamation, emotional distress, and unlawful business interference. He's seeking damages in the amount of $50 million. The room spun. That's insane. We didn't. My client asserts that your sons used their business influence to damage his reputation and company. The mall banning was just the beginning. Several of his business partners have mysteriously backed out of deals this week. Eunice looked at Jae-sung, who was already reaching for his own phone. Furthermore, the lawyer continued, Mr. Thompson is prepared to go public with his story. The poor man whose wife lied about being infertile, trapped him in a fraudulent marriage, then went on to have children with someone else the moment she could access real money. That's not what happened, Eunice said, her voice shaking with fury now. That's the story he'll tell, complete with those photos he sent you. The desperate woman who needed rescuing by a rich man. It's quite compelling, actually. The press will love it. We'll fight this, Eunice said. Every single accusation. I'm sure you will. But the damage will be done, won't it? Your son's reputations, your husband's business, your own standing in society, all of it called into question. Unless what? Unless you agree to meet with Mr. Thompson. Privately. Tomorrow. Just the two of you. No lawyers, no family. Hear him out. Perhaps you can come to an arrangement. Every instinct screamed danger. And if I refuse, then we file in the morning. And every sordid detail of your past becomes public record. The line went dead. Eunice sat frozen, the phone trembling in her hand. Jae-sung had managed to text their family lawyer, who was already calling back. But Eunice barely heard the subsequent conversation. Her mind was spinning, terror and rage warring in her chest. She thought she was safe. Thought she'd built walls high enough, strong enough, to keep her past buried. She'd been wrong. And now Marcus was offering her a choice. Face him alone, or watch him destroy everything she'd built. As Jae-sung argued with the lawyer about strategy, as her phone began buzzing with texts from her sons who'd somehow already heard, Eunice made a decision. She would meet Marcus. Not because she was afraid, but because this ended now. One way or another, she would close this chapter of her life permanently. Even if it meant facing the man who'd once broken her. Even if it meant risking everything. She'd survived once before with nothing. She could do it again. The phone buzzed one more time. A new message from Marcus's number. Noon tomorrow. The Grandview Hotel, Presidential Suite. Come alone, or everyone finds out who you really are. Eunice stared at the message, her jaw set with determination. She knew who she really was. The question was, did Marcus? To be continued. End of episode 1. What will happen when Eunice faces Marcus alone? What does he really want? And will her sons discover her plan before it's too late? Find out in episode 2 of The Billionaire's Forgotten Wife. Like, comment, and subscribe for the next episode. Let us know in the comments. Should Eunice tell her sons about the meeting or handle Marcus alone? Comment episode 2 and it will drop. Also, tell me what country you are watching from, and I'll see you tomorrow.